Good afternoon, Tyagi Saab.
Good afternoon. How are you, Abdul?
Good afternoon, Captain Ragnekar.
Good afternoon, Ji. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Nice to see you all back again.
Thank you. Same here.
कैप्टन टंडन आप कुछ बोलेंगे तो
कोई और दिख ही नहीं रहा है, हमें तो सिर्फ आपका चेहरा नजर, तेरा चेहरा जब नजर आए। आप जरा इसकी सेटिंग चेंज करवाइए वहां से। और एक्चुअली यू नो व्हाट आई विल डू इज आई एम ऑन माय आईपैड, आई विल डिस्कनेक्ट फ्रॉम हियर एंड जॉइन फ्रॉम माय लैपटॉप फॉर बेटर।
ओके, डू दैट प्लीज।
गिव मी 1 second, I'll just cut out from here and join there. Thank you.
Captain Prasad Saab, how are you?
Yes, good afternoon, Ji. Captain Tyagi, कैसे हैं?
All good, sir. All good.
Good. आप बड़े एकदम as usual smart लग रहे हैं।
Oh,
अटायर में। Yes.
जैकेट कौन सा पहना है देखिए ना। मोदी जैकेट पहना है ना।
हाँ, मोदी जैकेट पहना है, करेक्ट।
और अमर सिंह ठाकुर साहब ऑफिसर एमयू अभी तक आएंगे शायद, ऑन द वे है।
अच्छा,
बहुत दूर चलना पड़ रहा होगा हमारे साथ।
हाँ,
बहुत कई किलोमीटर चलना पड़ रहा होगा।
अच्छा। अमर सिंह जी, गुड आफ्टरनून।
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, गुड आफ्टरनून।
नाइस।
ठाकुर साहब गुड आफ्टरनून।
गुड आफ्टरनून सर, गुड आफ्टरनून। कैसे हैं सर?
बस बढ़िया है।
ऑल वेल?
ऑल वेल, ऑल वेल।
गुड सर। क्या की साहब?
सत श्री अकाल।
सत श्री अकाल जी।
सर सत श्री अकाल।
सत श्री अकाल सर, कैसे हैं आप लोग?
ऑल गुड
थोड़े
सर।
आज जी रहे ने
अरे टंडन साहब, सत श्री अकाल।
ऐसा है, whatever we are saying is being streamed live on Facebook, तो थोड़ा सा
या
जो है वो है। अभी क्या इसमें वी आर नॉर्मल नेचुरल, जो दिल की बात है वो आएंगी ना, तो क्या है।
ठीक है फिर भैया। You have to lead by example ना।
नहीं पर रूम के अंदर तो सफोकेट हो जाएंगे ना ऐसा।
हाँ जी जी जी।
Have a few minutes.
Hi Steve.
Jesh, hi everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Steve.
How are we?
We are fine, but your audio is a bit weak.
Still weak
can-
or better?
No, it has to be better than this.
Okay, hang on,
Maybe the volume or something.
hang on. How's that? Better?
That's
Much
better.
better.
That's better. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That was the volume, you technical genius.
Oh,
Hi Steve, good afternoon.
Hi, good to see you again. How are you?
Good, good. How are you, sir?
Very well, very well. Having a very interesting morning.
Yes.
Mr. Prasad Hariharan, good afternoon. So,
Prasad has got all his crew back, so now he's relaxing at home. Some of us have to keep working.
Big.
yeah,
operation.
nowadays I'm not getting calls from him as often. So, you're still mute. Prasad, you're mute.
प्रसाद जी नमस्कार।
I said almost all. There are a few more left.
नमस्कार नमस्कार।
We had some very bad news yesterday. There's a cruise operator from the UK. The government basically blanketly said no more cruise operation till later in the year. So there's a company that operates out the east of England, just basically gone into insolvency yesterday. So we've got a bit of a clear up mess to do there because we helped them get everybody home. There was a little bit of sparring at the beginning, but we were quite responsible in the end. And now the government said no cruises, and of course it only had a survival package to a September start, and of course, so there's like 6 ships in that group, probably 150 ships, seafarers on each ship, mostly now maritime crew, obviously a bit of catering, but it's a bit messy. So I'm hoping the passenger industry will bounce back too, but I'm not sure if you have a clear date. It's been very interesting for them.
Yeah, we hope as well.
I think it will, but it's probably going to be a different product, right? I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a new standard for cruising, especially with so many borders closed for a lot of nationals. The ship itself is going to be a destination rather than going across to different ports.
Yeah.
And I guess it's going to be shorter cruising as well, rather than 15-day round the world cruises. It's going to be much more shorter.
Any challenges I think we've all got. Sorry, Abdul Ghani, tell us what we've got to do.
Yeah,
You're in charge.
we have 2 minutes. We start in 2 minutes. We have yet to wait for Captain Dr. Daniel Joseph. Is going to join in another 2 minutes. So
There he is now.
Time to, oh, there he is. See.
Steve, you have to be on your best behavior till then at least.
So now we have a good representation. The Maritime Administration is also in. So we still have a minute to go and we can start off.
Steve, you mentioned about the ships, cruise vessels. Where are these vessels? In Europe only?
No, there's kind of cruise ships all over the place. A lot of the cruise companies.
Good afternoon, Captain Joseph, Daniel Joseph. Good afternoon.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Captain
Yeah,
Daniel.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Joseph, sir, good afternoon.
Yeah, you were saying something, Steve.
I was just saying that a lot of the cruise companies have moved their crew to the majority's home country. So we had some people dropping off ships in Dubrovnik, dropping off crew on the way, and then taking crew to the Philippines and different, depending where they were stuck at the time of the various shutdowns. And I think we had a bit of a backlog with our friends in the Philippines, who have since worked out how to move the majority of the crew, but there's still a few countries like Myanmar with very strict shutdown rules. So there's still a few Burmese crew around the place on some of these ships. Some of the cruise operators had Pacific Islanders, which I think all of you will be aware how difficult it is to move them in normal time, let alone in a time after the COVID crisis has impacted. So yeah, it's been quite a challenge for the operators, but also for us. And I think we'll talk about this in a moment, but the reality is governments defending their national situation, we recognize, but it's also a real challenge when you're a seafarer stuck in the crossfire of trying to be repatriated, particularly in the numbers in the cruise ships.
Okay, I think, shall we start?
Yes, Abdul Ghani, let's start.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all of those present who have come on this webinar. And I'm told, because this webinar is being telecast live on the Facebook. So let me, though we know, amongst us we know each other, but for the benefit of our audience, let me first introduce myself. I'm Abdul Ghani Saraing, General Secretary of the National Union of Seafarers of India, NOSI, representing a number of seafarers on cruise, offshore and cargo ships. And I have the privilege of being the moderator for today for this webinar. This webinar, which has been organized along with the Maritime Union of India on a very focused topic, which is Indian seafarers crew change, success or failure. There is nothing new I wish to add to the knowledge of the situation of COVID-19 and how is that it has supposedly become the new normal throughout the world, and India is no exception. it has drastically altered perceptions and the way we have been carrying on with our lives professionally and personally. While the lands of the world are under an airy lockdown, the skies of the world are quiet, serene, and it is only the seas which are alive and active due to the committed and the passionate seafarers of all ranks working on board the cruise ships, cargo ships, and we salute all our seafarers and their family members. The issue of thousands of seafarers awaiting repatriation has been in the world focus for nearly 4 months now. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, when the lockdown started, he advised all of our citizens to stay put. And as a disciplined soldiers, we did that. We did exactly that. We stay put wherever we were. But now, as the lockdown opens to unwind, thousands of our seafarers have extended their contracts and are awaiting repatriation. Equally important are those ashore waiting to join their ships. The reason for this webinar, because there was a lot of anguish, frustration, criticism, and in measure of praises also on the University of WhatsApp and the Twitter Academy. So today's webinar will be a bit of a reality check and also to try to come out with takeaways that will be taken up ahead in the right earnest. Let me welcome all the guest panelists who are here. Let me first welcome Captain Daniel Joseph, Captain Dr. Daniel Joseph. He is the Deputy Director General of Shipping, and his present responsibilities include COVID-19, crew branch, coastal and shipping, anti-piracy, Indian ship registration development. And he did his doctorate because it is very rare to have a captain who is also a doctor. So we have Captain Dr. Daniel Joseph. His doctorate the research paper was on entrepreneur skills in marine engineering students. As of now, for the past a few months, he is the 24/7 person, the 24/7 man from the Maritime Administration. If you don't believe it, test it out. I will leave, after the webinar, I'll leave his mobile number. You can check out. He is available 24/7. Captain Prashant Ragnekar is the Chief Operating Officer at Elegant Marine, which is a crewing arm of the fleet management in India. He is in charge of the India operations of the company. When he joined the company, fleet had around 15 ships under the management, and today they have more than 500 ships under the management, and he is one of the leading employers of the Indian seafarers. Captain Prashant Ragnekar is currently the chairperson of the Maritime Association of Ship Owners, Ship Managers and Agents, that is MASA, and is actively engaged in close liaison with the Indian Maritime Administration on many committees on matters pertaining to training and deployment of Indian seafarers. So welcome to you, Captain Ragnekar. Captain Tandon is the Global Industrial Relation and Seafarers Development for V Group, and he has served as the Managing Director of B Ships for more than 2 decades. He is the recipient of the Varuna Award, which is the highest ranking Indian shipping industry award. And when you say a recipient of the Varuna Award, that's it. You don't need to say anything more than that. But for the record, I have to mention that Captain Tandon was the chairperson of the International Maritime Employees Council, that is the IMEC, and presently he's on the board of the IMEC. He was also the chairperson of the Foreign Owners, Representatives and Ship Managers Association, and presently is a director of FOSMA. And he also represents the shipping interest, including the seafarers' interest on various shipping companies, various shipping committees. Now, we have had 3 captains. Let me break the monopoly of the captains and welcome Mr. Prasad Hariharan. Mr. Prasad Hariharan is the Managing Director of Carnival Support Services India Private Limited, which is wholly owned subsidiary of Carnival Corporation, which is the world's largest leisure travel company that owns more than 100 cruise ships under several renowned cruise brands like P&O Cruises, Cunard, Princess Cruises, Carnival, Costa, etc. He is a graduate from the Institute of Hotel Management and Catering Technology, Mumbai, and he's also an alumni of the Indian Institute of Management, that is the IIM. When we talk of IIM and IITs, definitely, the profile gets raised by itself. So he is alumni of the IIM, and his professional career spanning more than 32 years in hospitality industry with 28 years in the cruise industry on ships and ashore. So it mentions 32 years. So I was wondering, when did you start, Prasad? You started very early at the age of 10 or something. Quite young enough. When you have 32 years in hospitality. Captain B.K. Tyagi is presently in charge of fleet personal affairs and managing and supervising seafarers related activities for the entire fleet owned and managed by the Shipping Corporation of India, SCI. Friends, whenever we hear the word SCI, you become so respectful because many carriers presently and in the past have been shaped by Shipping Corporation of India. It has been the stepping stone for thousands and thousands of Indians who are presently on various capacity, hold higher position nationally and internationally. That is what is SCI, our own government company. And it continues to shape the future of thousands of seafarers. He served 14 years at sea and later joined the shore office where he managed various aspects of shipping management. And he's a science graduate. And apart from a master mariner of foreign going, he holds various management degrees, diplomas, including shipping and law, and he's also serving number of various professional institutes. And I have to be particularly, good, while introducing him, because very soon we are going into negotiations and our, charter of demands are so, welcome, a special welcome to Captain Tyagi on this webinar.
Thank you, Ganesh.
And then let me welcome also my co-host, Mr. Amar Singh Thakur, who is the General Secretary of the Maritime Union of India and represent the Merchant Navy officers. Having sailed for over 30 years as electrical engineer officer, Mr. Thakur has always been has had a very intense desire to serve seafarers and combined with the acute sense of ensuring fairness for them. Mr. Amar Singh Thakur represents the MUI on various statutory, national and international committees and is instrumental in various welfare activities, not just for the officers, seafarers, but also their family members. Welcome, my co-host, Mr. Amar Singh Thakur. And finally, friends, we have Mr. Stephen Cotton, who's the dynamic General Secretary of the International Transport Workers Federation. In normal times, I would have said who has come all the way from London for the meeting. Usually we used to say that, but nowadays no longer to say that. But then, I just recollected. Usually we used to say many situations, he has traveled all the way. So he has traveled all the way, to be here on the webinar with us. And he's also, and the ITF, as we all know, represents is a global union federation of nearly 700 trade unions representing more than 20 million transport workers in 150 countries in the maritime, port, aviation, road, rail, and urban transport sectors. He's also the chair of the the Council of Global Unions, a trustee of the ITF Seafarers Trust, and serves on the United Seamen's Service USS governing body. In 2014, Mr. Cotton received an USS Admiral of the Ocean CAOTOS award in recognition of his work in defending the well-being and fair treatment of seafarers. And let me also welcome on the webinar, Steve. It's a pleasure to have you with us, like all other dignitaries. And let me also welcome those who are following us on Facebook Live. There are a substantial, because the reason I said good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because there are across the throughout the world, this webinar is being followed on Facebook Live. And we have seafarers and the families also at the national level who are following, along with the seafarers internationally, and also the interested people who because of the topic, Indian seafarers crew chain, success or failure. Before we start, I just needed to mention that we are going to have a lucky draw of all those participants, means those who are following us on Facebook. And this lucky draw will be 3 nights and 4 days on Nusi Resort, along with the family, free, totally on the house. So, and this draw will be done every Saturday. We have a regular weekly program of Nusi Kaam Ki Baat. Kaam Ki Baat will be translated what? Kaam Ki Baat, talk of the work, something like that. Nusi Kaam Ki Baat. So it will be, we'll be taking a lucky draw in that. So I welcome all the participants. And first I would, the reason, as I mentioned, this is the reality check of what is happening, whether the efforts of the administration, the stakeholders, the unions and the stakeholders have been fruitful towards the Indian seafarers crew chain in particular. And this is a very focused webinar. So I would, those who want to post questions on the Facebook Live, please do so, but please be very focused on the topic. We want to be very focused on this, and so that we get the benefit of the panelists and also gain something, learn something also from this webinar. So first of all, I would request Captain Daniel Joseph to please take the floor. He represents, as I said, he is the Deputy Director General of Shipping, and he represents the Maritime Administration. So over to you, Captain Dr. Daniel Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. As you said, it is being watched all over the world. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all, wherever you are. I hope you are hale and healthy. And for today's topic, actually, I wanted to speak what all things the Indian Maritime Administration has done during this COVID-19 pandemic period. But then I thought it will be better to give a presentation. So I had prepared a small presentation, which I will take you through. Do I have
access? You have access, yes.
Okay. You can see the...
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Thank you.
So you can see, 1 minute. The full screen can be seen, sir?
Yes, we can.
Yes. See, these are the timelines which I would like to tell you. We had a planning and operational team which was set up, and a core committee was formed around the month of Feb, because we had pre-estimated that we will have some serious issues. So we formulated a committee under the chairmanship of Director General of Shipping. And if you see, we have started issuing our advisory from the month of Jan 2020 itself. We had started issuing maritime advisories basis the WHO recommendations and IMO recommendations, and the SOPs and other things, whatever were issued for the MTIs and stakeholders was before the lockdown. So lockdown happened in the 24th of March, but our all SOPs related were for the ships and ports and MTIs were before that. Then there was a very important SOP which was released on 22nd April. This was a very remarkable day, which you can call. On 22nd April, we started the crew changes in Indian ports and anchorages. Then on the 6th of May, also the VVM flights were started, through which crew changes were facilitated. And if you see 19th May, we started the chartered flights facilitated, and it has been a big hit, which I will tell you in the PPTs. And then the path to recovery. Let me talk about the few challenges. I know this is specific to crew changes, but let me quickly tell the other aspects also, which we had key challenges which happened due to lockdown. There were threat to shipping and logistic trade. There was no identified SOPs between ships and ports, and there was a chance of contamination from the ships to port and from ports to ships. This was one of the key challenges we faced. And then there was different agencies and various authorities were involved. Ministry of Health, Ministry of Home Affairs, the local state government, and there were a lot of agencies, other immigrations, PHO. So there was no proper coordination between them. So this is what was one of the challenge which we faced. And then also which led to the expiry of ships trading certificates, delay in surveys, inspections, and critical servicing of the emergency equipments were also hampered. And then also, which was key, the movement of seafarers were restricted because of lockdown. If you see, we had when we had prepared our SOP, we had to deal with, which I said earlier, we had to deal with various external agencies. Ministry of External Affairs, because we wanted the chartered flight permissions, and with their embassies and other agencies, we were able to get this chartered flight permissions rolling out. Ministry of Home Affairs was one more key agencies which we had extensive meetings related to seaports and immigration clearances. We had the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. They were mainly involved in the quarantine, clearances, sanitation, and all the other necessary guidances. Obviously, Ministry of Civil Aviation were involved in chartered flights, quarantine, logistics, and their support for flight clearances. And a local state government, where we had to discuss with them for flight landing permissions, interstate travel, our e-passes recognitions, and other activities. The involvement of stakeholders, which we can see, doctors, terminals, and RPSL agencies. I cannot tell you how many meetings we had, but we had lots and lots of meetings with the stakeholders before we rolled out all the SOPs. These were the immediate solutions which we provided. You can see through for maritime training. I would just tell you 25,000 plus people have enrolled in the e-learning, and 10,000 people have enrolled in the VC, and they are attending at present the courses. For Seafarer, if you can see, we had gone beyond the STCW provisions and taking the IMO approach of practical and pragmatic approach. We have extended the certificates and COPs and COCs up to 31st December 2021. And I'm very happy to convey that today's figure we have reached 64,000. 64,000 is the count of the crew change, which from the 22nd April we have carried out. And for SIPs, which I have told, we have made a detailed outbreak management plan and SOP guidance for the ships, which was widely accepted, and IMO also has praised us on the SOP which we had released for the ships. And we had extended the statutory certificates, periodical surveys, sanitation certificates, so that the ships could continue to sail without hindrance. As I told earlier, we had issued a detailed SOP, which was DGS Order 4 of 2020, which gave clear guidelines to all the statutory agencies which are involved with the port operations, and ports being identified as essential services were continued to be operational and provided key essentials to the community. And if you see trade, we had given advisories regarding non-charging of detention charges and non-charging of ground rent and demurrages for the non-containerized cargoes. And if you can see, lastly, the shipping industry, we had allowed lifting of restrictions of doctors in consultation with the local state government, and allowing the other essentials like repair technicians, OEMs, surveyors, inspectors, auditors, etc., to grant them permissions to go on board and provide essential services to the ships. These were the immediate solution and relief provided by DGS. I would like to also tell the technological induction which we had carried out during this pandemic, which ensured that shipping continued to be operational. Immediately, our all office work started in e-office. Key officers continued to be attending the office during lockdown also, and other people started working from home, that is e-office. In the record time of 3 days, we prepared the sign on and sign off module. This module has been an instant success. Initially, we had a few hiccups, but all states have recognized, and this is the only pass which people with the approval of the directorate are able to move from one state to another state, district to district, intra-state travel. And this has been an instant success, which has facilitated the movement of seafarers all over India. Then we also had the utility of verification of seafarers from chartered flights. As I told you, we had facilitated chartered flights. So these were specific to seafarers. So we had to verify whether these are seafarers or not. So on a record time, within 4 days, utility was created wherein all crew management, which in turn is turned to Excel and submitted to MEA for easy reference and easy movement of seafarers. As I told you earlier, maritime training, e-learning, already I have discussed. There was also a utility which was created for online uploading of details of standard seafarers. People stranded all over the world through MS Notice 9 of 2020, we had created a module. This was also created within 1 week, a record on its kind, and people were able to register. Till date, I just saw the figure before I came to the webinar. Around 8,890 people have registered in the portal for being stranded all over worldwide. And we had very diligently followed this module, and we were behind each and every seafarer. And at today's date, we have 8,340 seafarers who have been completed and repatriated in the module. So around 500 were left over. Out of 500, some 330 are only a wrong entry, double entry, some mistakes. And only 200 people are left, which our team is very closely following, and we will get them back also. And also during this time, we had a very, very important step taken. This all inline, online charter licensing and ship registration have gone online. So people can apply online. No need to visit the MMD or registrar or DG shipping. Everything is online, fully online. These are just few phases which is there in the website. Specific actions we have taken during phase 1, phase 2. These were the series of instructions which we had issued during phase 3, and list of supporting documents. These are during phase 4. These are during phase 5. And this is during unlockdown. Now, after phase 5, phase 6, this is the continuous process which we have come up with. And if you can see, till yesterday, we have issued a SOP for repatriation of foreign seafarers from Indian ports. And this is the graph which shows port-wise Indian ports and anchorages. The leader has been Mumbai Port Trust. The figure is now, this is the yesterday's figure. Now this figure is around 12,000. And if you see the red one is sign off, and the green bar is sign on. In the sign on, if you can see, Cochin Port is the leader. The figure has already crossed 3,500 because being strategically located, and the Cochin Port Trust team, entire team has been very supportive for this crew change, and I really congratulate them for the marvelous effort put in by their team. If you see, there are two figures in the sign on 11486. That was just 2 days back. This is the chartered flights which have happened, crew changes in the chartered flights. If you can see, the figure is 13,000, and for sign off, if you can see, the figure is 21,384. So there have been a lot of crew changes which is happening in the chartered flights. These are few of pictures which we have taken, crew changes at Indian ports, and crew wearing full body PPE at anchorage during flight. These are few success appreciations which we have received. If you can see, in flat 4 hours, we had given chartered flight permissions for the chartered of one of the chartered, where a lot of multiple agencies were involved, but still we were able to facilitate, and many ports have written the appreciations, and we have received a lot of tweets. Thank you very much. I will be open to question whenever.
Yes, thank you, Captain Dr. Daniel Joseph. You know, actually, we also in the fraternity, we are also not aware of these figures to that extent. So if I have to ask you just a quick one, as far as the sign on and sign off, whether in the port or through chartered flights, how many sign-ons and sign-offs have taken place? You mentioned some 64,000, but
yeah, I'll tell you. That's why I've kept it 1 minute. Chartered flight sign-on is 13,087. That is the current figure. And sign-off is 21,356.
That is the chartered flights.
Chartered flights. And Indian ports sign-on is 8,297. And sign-off is 19,000. So the total figure comes to around 62,000, 62 plus, and 2,000 is through Vande Bharat mission. So we have crossed 64,000 plus.
That is indeed a remarkable achievement. I'm sure that it needs to be done more. There's definitely something more can also come up, but as of now, these are good figures comparatively, and we really appreciate the efforts. Now, can I ask Captain Prashant Ragnegar to take the floor, because he is also the end user of the policies and the practices of the DG Ship, Maritime Administration, the DG Shipping. So, Captain Prashant Ragnegar, please. You are mute, Captain. Please unmute yourself. Captain, yes.
Okay. Good day to all of you who are watching this webinar through either your Facebook or through your Zoom to various platforms. Before I start, a very big thanks from the industry, from everyone, to all our seafarers who are out at sea, who just returned from sea, and to their families. You are the real heroes, the real key workers, the essential workers, and the world in general owes you a lot. Thanks also to Mr. Abdul Ghani Sarang, Mr. Amar Singh Thakur, the respective teams of NUSI and MUI for inviting me as a panelist on this webinar. The topic is very relevant. I should say very hot, if I can add. Let me go back a little on why these Indian seafarers are the most talked about. No matter what everyone says about the numbers, whether we have 8% or 10% of the global percentage, what is important is what we as Indian seafarers offer, what value we bring to our customers, the ship owner. Numbers will grow if we have our values right. We are known for our fast grasping ability of the new regulations that are thrown at us, our adaptability, our dedication and willingness to assume greater responsibility and deliver to the owner's expectations. That is why Indian seafarers are the most preferred in specialized trades such as tankers and chemical tankers, to be specific. Of late, there is one more quality which is now seen as equally important, and that is resilience in face of all odds. This is the quality which has carried all Indian seafarers through this COVID pandemic. Our seafarers have spent long extended duration at sea, and I can feel their pain when they cannot reach out to their families and return home after completion of duty. Again, my profound thanks to all these seafarers, and importantly also to their supportive families who have endured this pandemic. There is another team which are also key workers in this pandemic. Besides our seafarers, there is a manning team ashore of every company that I know who is going sleepless for our last 4 months to get their seafarers back. And also the secretariats of the various associations, MASA, FOSMA, and so on. And I'm sure many others are toiling very hard to get the seafarers back. There is another very vital team which is giving relentless support, and that is the team of DGS under the leadership of Sri Amitabh Kumar, without whose support these crew changes would not be possible. And the face of this team, which we often refer to as a one-man army, is Captain Daniel, whom you just heard. He gave out very interesting statistics just now, and few others like him in the administration who are important part of the success story of crew changes for the Indian seafarers. Among the maritime nations, or should I say maritime crew supply nations, I have not heard of any other country doing so much to get their seafarers back home. Even when the global lockdown was announced, and so also in India, we were able to affect crew changes in Indian ports. The SOP issued by DGS with good inputs from various associations, MASA, FOSMA, INSA, IMF, ICSA, and so on, was considered the best in the entire shipping industry. Very robust, addressing all concerns of the ship owners and also the charterers. Of course, there were hurdles and plenty of them, mind you, but the collective will and the efforts of the manning industry and that of the administration made this a very success story. The industry did not stop there, but went on to charter the flights, and the Indian manning industry is again leading in this venture to get back its frontline key workers back home to their families. But then we all know what is done, though it is very commendable in face of the pandemic lockdown, but is not enough. And we are knocking on the doors of the various government agencies to get the commercial flights operational through dedicated hubs, to open green corridor for seafarers to move across countries by facilitating arrival visa and much more. Of course, there is more to talk about, but I'm sure there'll be more discussion on this in this webinar, and I leave it to the others on the panel to share their thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Ragnikar. That was very interesting to see and very educative the way you put it, that in addition to the seafarers, definitely we salute the seafarers. There is a whole lot of team from the DGS, from the company offices and other stakeholders doing all their best to get our seafarers back, and also for the joiners also. Really appreciate. And we will talk about it in much detail. Can I now ask Captain Rajesh Tandon to address us about his views about the Indian seafarers crew change, whether it is a success or a failure? Kindly address us. Thank you.
Good afternoon or good day to everybody. I thank Nusi for this opportunity. Mr. Abdul Ghani,
Yeah.
you very clearly told me that both Prashant and I will be talking about the foreign employer's perspective. But Prashant has left nothing for me to say. He's already said it all. So, but I will dwell upon certain other observations on this whole thing. I will start by repeating one or two or three things that Prashant did say. First of all, I would like to thank the Maritime Administration for the leadership that they have displayed in taking this crew change opportunities for the Indian community, Indian seafaring community. They led from the front to coordinate with the various government agencies and to make it happen for us. We can fully understand the monumental task this has been, because we have been shoulder to shoulder with this one-man army that you mentioned, Captain, I don't know which comes first, Captain Dr. Daniel Joseph. But you're right, 24/7, you call him anytime, he will always answer a WhatsApp or the phone call. For me, one of the very satisfying aspects of what this whole operation has brought out is that in a situation of crisis like the pandemic, it is unequaled, unmatched crisis that we've ever seen, something like this. What I see good and refreshing about our industry is that the entire industry has come together. They have gone beyond the borders of direct competitors operating together, institutional, rivals within the industry, the tripartite or the multipartite, bodies that got involved, whether it was the trade unions, whether it was the POSMA, MASA, INSA, ICSA, and IMF, and whichever body you name, whether it was the Maritime Administration, whether it was the ports, whether it was, you name it, and everybody started pulling in the same direction. It reminded me of the synergy and the unidirectional focus that we saw in the case of the heavy spirit, where everybody pulled together to make get things going. So this industry teaches us a lot in the way we operate, and this, I think, this is the value that the seafarers that we have all imbibed for having been seafarers or working with seafarers. So my salute and tribute goes out to all the seafarers who have once again displayed such high quality of professionalism to keep the world cargoes moving. Couple of things have been said by Dr. Daniel, is that shipping continues to be operational right from the beginning. And I think those are very important words. Shipping continues to be operational because our seafarers make it operational. Singularly, the seafarers keep the ships moving, and we have to be thankful to them. Unfortunately, the world, other from the community, does not readily see the sacrifice, hard work, and dedication that the people our seafarers display. And I take this opportunity to salute the seafarers for what they've done. I was asked by Abdul Ghani ji that what has been done, is it enough? Every bit helps, but have we done enough? We have still a long way to go. We spoke about green corridors. Well, green corridors can be made to happen, but we need the visas in every location. The visa is still remaining a challenge for Indian seafarers to travel and get there. Even in the Indian permission context, a lot has been eased off and a lot has been facilitated and become simplified. But we still require multi-agency approvals. Now, having tested this, and this question, this comment is perhaps for Dr. Daniel, haven't seen that our systems are working 100%, that we have not tried to bring any non-seafarer inside on the charter flights, I think, can you now make an appeal to the various other agencies that once the DG's office has verified the authenticity of the people that are coming in on the charter flights, there should be no further clearances required. I say this because once the manifest is submitted, because of operational reasons, when ships routine changes, some people cannot travel as per the original manifest. Where I'm leading up to this is that if we take 10 or 20% extra people on the manifest, we do not waste a useful, where a seat is coming back empty or a seat is going empty on an outward flight. And this will hasten the whole process. I know it's easier said than done, and we have discussed this offline with you, sir. But if you can take it up once again, it will be absolutely brilliant. But to the rest of us, and all of us included, I think we all need to continue working and try and get the commercial operation started, because, hey, we will do our best, whatever is required to be done. But I think life has to start learning to live with this COVID and do our best to make it happen. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Captain Tandon, for your words. And yes, you have raised a few queries, and definitely in our question answer session, we will, I'm sure there are questions coming in. They have already started trickling in, and we will ask the Captain Daniel Joseph and all others whom the question has been directed to. Thank you for your words. And yes, as you mentioned, have we done enough? We have done quite a bit, but more needs to be done, and that is what we will dwell upon. Let me now ask Mr. Prasad Hariharan, who represents the cruise ships. And when we had taken the issue about repatriation of the seafarers with our administration and also with our Minister of Shipping, particularly with Mr. Mansukh Mandavia, who was very kind enough, and with his direction and support, the issue about seafarers with their repatriation, and the maximum of the seafarers to be repatriated were from cruise ships at that time. So when we had to put a strong case, and we had to bring in Mr. Prasad stating that at that time, out of the so and so seafarers to be repatriated, 60% belongs to the company of Mr. Prasad Hariharan. So so that made an impact. So over to Mr. Prasad Hariharan. Thank you.
I just unmuted myself. Thank you very much for inviting me to this particular webinar. I must admit, this is the first time that I'm a panelist in a webinar. I'm usually on the other side, listening to all those people who are talking. So, Mr. Ghani, IITF and MUI, thank you so much for the invitation. You said it right. We had a massive task to bring back so many of our seafarers back to India. And the nature of cruising is such that, you employ a lot of people. And these ships were located all across the globe. So yes, we knocked on many, many doors before the crew changes started. But once it started, it was pouring. I must compliment the Maritime Administration, Mr. Amitabh Kumar, Captain Dr. Daniel Joseph. I can think of a few more names, Mr. Barguzer, and especially I want to talk to about the person who manages the IT side of things in DG, Mr. Atul. All of them have been so supportive. And the best thing is the entire Maritime Administration has been very agile in, adapting to changing needs of the industry. And hats off to them. Thank you so much. This is a new face that we have seen, at least I have seen, of the Maritime Administration being so agile and so supportive to the entire industry. It was an experience that we were not trained for. to bring back so many people in such a short time. Neither me or my team, or I guess I'm speaking for all the other manning agencies who represent cruise ships, we were never trained for getting so many people back from different parts of the globe by air, by ship. And the last mile, when we got people back to the airports, we had people coming back at seaports. The last mile connectivity was again a really big challenge for us. It was trying to getting these people to their homes, booking domestic charters, booking train tickets, booking buses. We had buses which were going all over the place. So it was an experience, like I said, worth living. I think on hindsight, I think we have done pretty well with bringing back all these people. So if you were to ask me whether it was a success or failure, I would say it was a success, but with a lot of learnings. Learnings for the future, learnings for every stakeholder, the RPSL companies like ours, the maritime industry in per se in total, the different government departments, the Ministry of Home Affairs and External Affairs, the Civil Aviation Ministry, as well as the really good work that the Maritime Administration. There's still a lot of learning for us on how we could have changed this into a great opportunity, especially for the cruise industry, to showcase how friendly we are as a country and how it is really going to be very, very good to keep employing Indians on board our ships. And that's something which I think in some ways we may have lost out on, but otherwise I think overall it's been a really, really great success for every stakeholder who was involved in this. So once again, thank you so much for inviting me. And I look forward to any questions that the panelists or any of the viewers have for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. And thank you also for your frank statement that we might have lost out on opportunities, but yes, this is a learning curve. We can, double up our efforts. And I'm sure the viewers will have some questions, particularly on the cruise. Now, can I request Captain Tyagi? He represents the Indian ship owners. He's from as I mentioned, the Shipping Corporation of India. Most of our seafarers are on the foreign flag, but equally important and strategically important is Shipping Corporation of India, where we are very proud to have our own national fleet. So, Captain B.K. Tyagi, please. Tyagi Saab, you'll have to unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for all your thoughts. And I would like to thank you all listeners who are live today at this moment, watching us on the Facebook. And I'm sure they all must be expecting a lot of information, what is happening in the shipping industries, what offices are doing. And I'm sure we will give them a much, much better information and clarity. It will definitely help them to give some clarity for their family members, even the seafarers who are on board. Already this micro level and macro level this is discussed. I'll just take what we do in Shipping Corporation of India. I'll start from very basic practical micro level things. When we are doing any crew change, we have got two clear-cut objectives. Very simple, but very clear-cut. Number one, any seafarer who is signing off from the vessel, he should reach his home safely. As a number one priority. We are doing this job in a very controlled manner and in phased manner. Number one. Number two, any sign-on party, any joiner, again, he has to be picked up from his residence home and must reach the ship in COVID-free condition. And these two are the basically parameters which we are measuring that how good or bad we are performing. And it's really happy I can share with you. So far, we have been completely successful in this two objectives. So our success, that crew change is successful or failure. I'm not counting only in terms of numbers. We are counting with these two parameters. No seafarer from Shipping Corporation of India has fallen seriously sick because of COVID. Whoever has signed off, they have reached their homes safely. And number two, entire fleet has been maintained COVID-free. So these are the two, and I can say on behalf of other Indian ship owners also, similarly situation is there. And on this parameters, I can say this entire success, entire operation has been 100% successful. I have no doubt in this. Now coming to the numbers, how many seafarers have been signed on, signed off? I can give you just Shipping Corporation of little information. End of June, we had say some total number of seafarers were nearly 900 were due. Till date, 61% have been signed off and they have gone safely home. So number for us is the secondary. First, safety of the seafarers who are signing off, heading towards home, and any sign-on party going to the ship, ensuring the ship is maintained COVID-free. These are the basic targets, and we have been 100% successful in this. Now, coming further, we all know entire industry is aware. Today, there is a huge demand for sign-off. Everybody wants to sign off, and the availability of seafarer is definitely limited. It's a definitely serious mismatch. And I will appeal all my seafarers who are on leave presently, come forward so that the seafarer who are on board and who are due, they can be relieved in again a very controlled manner. But this will be only possible if the seafarer who are on leave, they have to come forward. This is my appeal to them. Seafarer who are on board and who are overstayed, definitely at least 10 to 15% had overstayed on ship. We are taking care of them. And my again humble request to all the seafarers is please have patience. I can assure you each and every one of you go home and with the safety. That is my prime objective. Entire company, including management, is committed to this. No chance of taking any shortcut. And in this, whatever the DGS has given this SOPs, we are strictly complying. In fact, we have taken some additional measures so that there is no scope of any infection reaching the vessel or any serious sickness because of the COVID. Now, I can tell you one more thing in SCI, Shipping Corporation of India. Whenever we have made call to our seafarers, we are continuously engaged with them who are especially on board. And not only on board, their families ashore also. Our team is continuously speaking to them and telling them when the particular seafarer will reach home. In this COVID situation, last 3-4 months, their efficiencies have increased tremendously. And this, Abdul Ghani ji, you may be monitoring. SCI result is the reflection of their fantastic efficiency on board during this time, especially few quarters of last financial year, which was one of them was during the COVID itself. So their efficiency has increased tremendously. Another one small example I can just would like to quote and thanks all seafarer again. We made appeal to them to donate to the PM CARES Fund. You will not believe each and every seafarer who was sailing on board, including young cadets, young trainee cook, they all have contributed one day their salary voluntarily, and this was a fantastic amount. And thanks, big thanks to all the seafarer again on this side. Now with this, let me take again back to you. We are having whenever the sign-off process is there. Earlier, it used to take, say, just 2 days. Get down from the ship, catch the flight, go home. today's situation is completely different. We all know time can be up to 10 to 15 days, including quarantine period. Cost has gone multiple times. And this all is putting a lot of pressure in the system. And but we have to learn this, and we all have learned all this. Now this job is still not complete as far as the seafarer sign off is concerned, but this will continue because I can see the situation in India as far as the COVID is concerned is still it's basically boiling. The number of cases are increasing every day, and but we have already learned, and with the help of the Director General of Shipping and the team, we know exactly now what to be done and in what controlled manner we have to do the arm maneuvering. Uh, and I have no doubt now whatever the challenges, further challenges are added, we will come over on these points. Now with those all things, I would like to again appeal to all seafarers who are on board and ashore also, please come forward, who are on leave, come forward, report so that we can relieve all the other seafarers. And who are on board, please cooperate, have patience. I can assure you personally also, each and everyone will go home safely, and it is just a matter of few weeks more. Thank you very much, Abdul Ghani.
Thank you, Captain Tyagi. You put a good element in the crew chain, that is the safety, to ensure that it is just not the numbers, but it is also the way it is being dealt with. And that is very heartening to note that our seafarers and their family members, they are our prime concern. And we are bound by taking them home safely, and also those for the sign-ons to have them COVID-free condition. That is how you put it, COVID-free condition. That is very important. Can I now means all the and one thing that, but also you mentioned, Captain Tyagi, that SCA has done really good, and the results have shown, and also we have seen in the reports that SCI company has also made substantial in the quarter. It has made profits. Do you agree? And that is very happy to note that. You mentioned you have also, the reports were mentioning that you have made profits also. So it is very.
Absolutely, Ghani Sahab, it's available in the public.
Yeah, it is available in the public domain. So since you made profit, it will be easier when we do our negotiations in the next round. So you're on record that, so it will be easy, and I'm sure, you'll be more than happy, to share a bit of the profit with the seafarers. Thank you. Can I ask General Secretary of the Maritime Union of India, Mr. Amar Singh Thakur, to share his thoughts, because as stakeholders, we have been also quite involved with it. And then we'll have Brother Stephen Carter. Yes, Brother Amar Singh Thakur, thank you. Please unmute yourself, Thakur sir. Thakur sir, unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. In COVID-19, we never thought the world would have been locked down and leaving everything standstill. Billions of people suffers due to COVID-19. All modes of travel, national and international, were put on standstill. But we salute our seafarer who kept the show alive and continue to run the ship. Seafarer literally got stuck abroad and shore. The major impact on the shipping and challenging, the major setback was that the crew change. Maritime Union of India and National Union of Seafarers of India started getting calls, mails from the seafarer for sign off and sign out. We are getting stuck on board ship, not getting sign off. Every port was shut. There was no chance. Even the crew was on board, reliever was on board, they were not able to get down from the vessel. The world realized, I am also realized, and even our government also realized, the seafarer with the community which was neglected. That was a major setback. It was a neglected seafarer community. Now every word knows the seafarer are the key workers. It is essential services. Acknowledging the importance of the seafarer, the Ministry of Shipping, Shri Mansukh Bhai Mandviya ji, he asked the industry, stakeholders, unions. He interacted with the video conferences, ISA, MASA, FOSMA, including even Prasad ji also interacted, and they given the data how many seafarers are stranded abroad or India. Thank you. Thanks for the DG Shipping. Special thanks to Captain Daniel Joseph, who were active in every stats. We forced MEI Lucy that our Indian seafarer coming to India, they must be allowed to sign off in India. When if the rest of the world is locked down, they are not giving any permission where our Indian seafarer will go. Their families were worrying, everyone was worrying, but we kept consoling their families. MEI Lucy, their women wing was very active to facilitate their family, to keep their families updated for the welfare, the well-being of the seafarer. Because if the family is happy, seafarer is happy. Now, after certain meeting, after interaction with certain meeting, and we were in constant touch with the industry, with the administration, with the DG, with the ministry. Then SOP guidelines were, when the SOP guideline came, but still challenges were not over, because Indian center's guidelines were different. The state government's guidelines are different. Center gives some different order, state government always different orders. Even Calcutta port, not signed, Mamata Banerjee wrote, she was not allowing. Then we wrote a letter to their also, MEI Nusi. We wrote a letter to Mamata Banerjee, their administration. And in the JNPT, there are dredging corporation of India also, we came to know. Due to COVID, even the ship channel was stopped. There was no supply of provision. Now, if the provision will not supply to the seafarer, and our seafarers working so hard, see, it was ridiculous. We took the matter immediately with the administration, with the DG, and even the local union in GNPD, MEI to see contact them. So provided then the problem was solved and provision was given in that ship. Even port authorities, the port workers, they were not allowing the seafarer to come down due to the fear of the COVID in the JNPT. We called the police, we discussed with the commissioner of the police of the JNPT, the local union, we contacted, and that problem was also solved. We were getting a lot of mail from other part of the country, like Goa. The major setback, the 14 days quarantine. The guidelines say that if the ship already sailed from more than 14 days, the quarantine should be not more than 3 days. But in the Goa, they forcibly said they have to go for 14 days quarantine. MEI Nusi wrote a letter to Goa Chief Minister, because particularly it was a cruise ship. So if you will not allow, and seafarer, you will keep forcibly keep the 14 days. So it will be a loss of the jobs of the people. They cannot join the ship, and then people will unnecessarily forcibly 14 days quarantine. And there was no nodal officer who can monitor the testing and these related procedures. In Colombo, there was chief engineer. He was stuck for 30 days along with another 30 seafarers. MEI Nusi approached ITF. We approached to the Colombo president, to the secretariat, even the embassy. We wrote them that our seafarers stuck, give them a chance to come back. Though Vande Mataram flights were there, but there were no seafarers were allowed to board their flights. We took the matter with the administration. We discussed the matter with the ministry that
Mr. Thakur, are you there?
we took the matter with this thing. And then one option in Korean, there was one wife of one chief officer. She was a pregnant and she was about to sign off in Korea. But Korean people, embassy was not allowing. We, MUI and NOC, we contacted the local region of Korean. From there, they get the visa for her and she signed off from there. Lot of ITF calls come to us, lot of even this thing, England, UK, the seafarer passport were expired, certificate were expired, CDC were expired. By the embassy, we took the matter with the administration and got it done. And thanks to DG for extending the validity of certificates till June 21. So I would like to say that I appeal to Indian seafarers, continue sailing on the boat. Companies are doing best to change the seafarer in the foreign port and Indian ports. We must realize that seafarers, certain other nationality, especially from Philippines, are showing great commitment to continue the sailing, which is creating favorable impression on honor of the. Let us work together and we will overcome the challenging. Because challenges are not finished yet. Challenges are still we have to face ahead. Even Port of America, Boston Port, Philadelphia Port, the Custom Board Protection Security not allowing the seafarer to sign up. Still challenges are more in head. But we were contacting ITF, quite sportive. We were contacting embassies, they are quite sportive. And we got the work done and we got the seafarer sign up everywhere. And an officer was not able to fly from Amsterdam and we took the help of ITF and he got sign off from the Doha. One officer who had completed 13 months and he was medically unfit. His leg was fractured, arm was fractured, and vessel was to reach Singapore. We wrote a letter to High Commissioner of India and Republic of the Singapore to enable company to agent to carry out formalities. Officer was signed off successfully. Still, challenges are here. I must say, एक शेर तो बनता है, ये चाइना तू कितने भी वायरस पैदा कर,
वाह,
ये चाइना तू कितने भी वायरस पैदा कर, तेरा वायरस कभी हमारे इरादे खत्म नहीं करेगा।
वाह,
तेरा वायरस कभी हमारे इरादे खत्म नहीं करेगा, चाहे स्कूल, कॉलेज, ऑफिस सब बंद हो जाए, चाहे स्कूल, कॉलेज, ऑफिस सब बंद हो जाए, चाहे आंधी तूफान आ जाए,
वाह,
मगर हमारे सीफेयर का जहाज कभी बंद नहीं होगा।
वाह, क्या बात, हमारे सीफेयर का जहाज कभी बंद नहीं होगा। वाह। Steve, I will translate what Brother Amar Singh Thakur had said in his couplet later when we on the email, and I'll translate it to you. Friends, we have, as I mentioned, a good opportunity to have Mr. Stephen Cotton, General Secretary of the ITF. We have been talking about what efforts we have been doing at the national level and to some measure at the international level, but a proper international perspective in this issue of the crew change for all the seafarers and all the seafarers has been done by the ITF. And over to Mr. Stephen Cotton, General Secretary of the ITF. Thank you.
So thanks, Abdul Ghani Sarang, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. So I'm going to try and mix it up a little because you've heard from all of the illustrious panel members, but I think there's a couple of things that I think are critical to get across, and I think it's a global question, and then I'll try to bring it back to the Indian response. So first, echoing some of the words by some of the other panelists, Rajesh in particular, the ITF is active in all transport sectors. And I think we have to recognize the devastation to the aviation industry, but maritime is quite different. We have been working with all the stakeholders. Our colleagues at the IBF, so that's the employers, many of them represented here, the International Chamber of Shipping, which is the National Ship Owners Associations, and I'll talk a little bit more in a moment, the UN agencies. But I think I want to be grateful to our brother from the Indian government for such a comprehensive presentation and the response. But I think we ought to reflect on some of the frustrations. So the ITF is what I would consider one of the pillars of the maritime world. Our unions, as you can see from this wonderful opportunity, express the seafarers and perhaps sometimes the seafarers' families' voices. And from the moment this devastating pandemic swept across the globe, seafarers have felt quite isolated. And as we look at and we count the months, the issue of respect and appreciation is perhaps one of the most significant questions or elements that are being raised by our seafarers. So we're now tackling the crisis of have we done enough, or enough is enough. Maybe the strength of our industry is that we can pull together in the right direction. So from the moment this kicked off, we've agreed extensions to contracts, we've lobbied collaboratively and together with individual ship owners, individual ship owners associations, governments. And I think the big question, and I have a ITF crew survey in front of me that was carried out in June, is the question on the lips of all seafarers is, does anyone appreciate what they're doing? And there were some very great comments of appreciation, and I want to echo those appreciation. I don't think anybody understands how challenging it is to be a seafarer. But normally, being a seafarer, you can come off the vessel, you can visit a seafarers centre. Literally over the last 4 months, all of those accesses have been denied as the world has closed down. And this has built frustration. I'll be very frank about this. The individual seafarers, this survey puts it in context, and I think all of us are worried about the mental well-being of our amazing seafarers. It's a tough job. It's a very professional job. It's a respected job. It's utterly critical for the shipping industry. And I would believe, and I share the view of my colleagues from the ship owners, that the world needs seafarers to move ships, to deliver personal protection equipment, to deliver drugs and equipment to respond to COVID, and to produce foodstuffs to make sure that people haven't starved in these various lockdowns. So there's going to be a bit of a question as we go forward, that as we've followed every single process, and again, we collaborated as comrades in producing the IMO's 12-point protocol about what is the procedure to give the seafarers the title of essential worker, which means they're not locked down like other forms of workers. And we signed that process, and we extended our crew contracts in collaboration with with our your employers, our counterparts. And then we came to the situation on the 16th of June where we said enough is enough. We didn't call for a global strike, but we felt it was critical to respond to the seafarers' frustration. And this is not any one nationality. This is all nationalities saying we need to get off. And of course, there's different durations of employment contract, but many of our seafarers, certainly those that are in a position to have shorter contracts, are now well over double their time. Many of our seafarers on the longer contracts have been on board over a year. And I think our audience recognizes that being a seafarer is a unique environment. You're at work in your place of work every day. And if you can't get access to seaman centres or welfare services and you can't get off the ship, it's becoming more and more frustrating. That said, we have worked really collaboratively, and early this month, we had a high-level government meeting of transport ministers from around the world who agreed that the majority should have essential services, the demarcation is essential for seafarers. And from there, we hope the process moves. The ITF is in an unparalleled situation where we're talking to airlines about how we can open airline routes. And only as recently as Friday, we had a very extensive conversation with the Philippines government about their critical situation. And I have to say, frustration is the key word. And if I know my colleagues on the panel have been perhaps very constructive. Many of them suffer the frustrations that we can't convince the world's governments that seafarers need to be able to move on and off vessels. Of course, it's unprecedented, and of course, it's difficult to follow the 12-point protocols. I want to reaffirm the importance of the testing regimes before seafarers depart their homelands. I want to reaffirm that we as unions negotiated the protocol to make sure that we could keep the shipping industry going. Moving to the Indian response, and again, I think we have to echo how critical you are to the maritime industry, how many important positions you hold, not just ashore, but not just at sea, but ashore as well, to the operation, the safe, COVID-free operation of the shipping industry. And it is very pleasing to hear the numbers, 64,000 movements on and off the vessels. I think those numbers also reflect the high level of cruise seafarers that you have, because normal process would be seafarers on, seafarers off. Otherwise, the numbers don't add up, because as we know, if we don't have enough seafarers on ships, the ships can't safely sail. And again, I think we recognize, and I'll be cautious on the terms I use here, the political balance between treating some nationals as key workers and other overseas workers with not the same authority. But I think there is a plea on behalf of the ITF and our friends, our affiliates in India, but also our friends who are the counterparts, that we need to do more, because India has responded, but many other countries have struggled to respond with the same dynamic approach. India geographically is in the middle of the world. Your economy is enormous and has been growing. Therefore, many ships stop, and the ability to do crew change, and we saw the numbers on the coast, is massive relief for Indian seafarers. The challenge for non-Indian seafarers who can't be repatriated under that model is a challenge we need to look at. The issue in the Philippines, with their massive percentage of crewing, with not very few flights, and the Philippines number was 2,500 departures a day. No, not departures, arrivals a day, was increased last week to 6,000 across all their international airports. We are lobbying to open that up threefold, because it's critical that we start to move seafarers. And why, and I'm very aware of the time I've gone, but I think I want to say that from what we've seen, again, and you know, some of the panel members I've known for longer than they might want to recall. over 25 years. India has responded in a very mature way, despite the challenges of keeping its community safe. Our colleagues on the passenger ships have responded to extraordinary logistical challenge, and they can count on the ITF support as we deal with what's left of seafarers stranded around, but also as we ramp up, as we hope we can find a solution to the crisis, but also we want the seafarers that operate on cruise ships to be back employed. I think the big challenge, and India is critical on money levels because your economic power and your political importance needs to also lead. And leading is that question about how do we get over these difficulties? And I've already had some concerning reports about seafarers arriving not having been adequately isolated or haven't had appropriate tests. So the integrity of the 12-step guideline protocol agreed by all the parties must be enshrined. And I know that India has taken this incredibly seriously. I know that we've responded admirably to the challenges. I do feel we're in that middle phase where we are all acknowledging that this is not going away in 1 month's time, and we need to make sure that the Indian shipping industry, and you're blessed with both being one of the biggest labour supply countries, but also one of the biggest owning countries in the world. So you have it from both perspectives and a strong economy. We need to make sure that we indemnify the job opportunities, the shipping industry, all of these challenges for our Indian brothers and sisters, the families that are listening here. Because when I look at the stories from the individual seafarers, there's a very high level of frustration. And how we handle this in partnership, how we're responsible to the emotional well-being of some of the seafarers, and perhaps even more challenging is how do we reassure them when we finally get them home, and we will get them home, that they want to go back to sea, and that they want to go back to sea and they can't be left in this terrifying position of feeling isolated. And I will say, you know, we're all human beings, and the ITF is committed to be a responsible partner. And I know that some of the seafarers feel we should be more assertive in some of the solutions. But we don't want to take you off in countries where we can't get you home. We don't want to expose you to more COVID risk. We want to make sure that we collaborate with our partners on the shipping companies, the ship managers, to make sure that we can get you home safely to your families. I think this is an unprecedented time in history, and let history judge us. I will say to you that India has responded well. It is moved through the gears. First, we dealt with extensions of contracts. Then we discussed with the government in partnership the ability to take charter flights, which not everybody has given, and no one's moved as many numbers as you have. Okay, we'd like to have regular flights re-engaged, so we'd like to have more flights, but your numbers are standing up well. We have massive challenges with European governments about their waivers in respect of visas, and we're lobbying for that. We will get flights from other countries to move, I guarantee you that. But the reality is we have to address each and every moment in this pandemic situation and respond with the most professional, risk-free way. So I think I want to put on record my thanks to the fellow panelists and our Indian affiliates and the Indian government. But I think perhaps for the family members who are listening alongside with the seafarers, please feel free to be in touch with the ITF. We've never had so many calls, emails, WhatsApp from our seafarers' websites. If you're being threatened about your employment outside of the Maritime Labour Convention procedures, please let us know, and we will continue to work for you, together with you and our counterparts from the industry. But it's really to the families. First of all, we appreciate your sacrifice and understanding that your father, brother, husband, wife, sister on board the ships need your comprehension and support as well, because We want to get everybody home. We want to get everybody home safely and in a way that makes sure that they will return to our industry. So I think for me, a massive thank you to the way India's responded. We need to count on you to help us move some of the other governments in a more dynamic way. We need your help to make sure that the global supply chain that we all depend on wherever we fit in our amazing world, that shipping is a critical industry that we'll all need more rather than less to fight our way out of the devastating impact, both financially and personally, to this pandemic. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton, for your frank, assertive, impactful words. And we could all feel whatever you said was straight from your heart. And definitely there is a level of ease being aware that the ITF, along with its affiliates, is ready and has been working along with the partners, our social partners, and also pushing the issue at the highest level with the governments also. Thank you so much, Steve, for being there. And your statements have given another level of hope. As you rightly mentioned, there is a level of, and we all are aware, there is a level of frustration among the seafarers who have not been able to come back, frustration among the seafarers who have not been able to go back on the ships. So and also not just the seafarers, but also their families, and we need, and the mental well-being, we need to look into that aspect also. But and thank you for that. And we have, I'm told Steve has to go but then if you can bear with us for a few moments, Steve, because there are some questions coming in. We'll directly go into the question answer session, because I can see there are some questions coming in. They have already been trickling in. Our team has been taking note of it. There are many questions, but we can only take a few. And the first question means it is directed to Captain Daniel Joseph. Captain Daniel Joseph, the commercial flights, as we understand, are not coming anytime soon. While the daily chartered flights of the seafarers are on, why doesn't the clearances get centralized in the office of the DG Shipping, who has all the details? That is one. And what is our government doing about visa waivers in collaboration with other governments? Captain Daniel Joseph, if you can kindly answer that.
Yeah, this question regarding, first question was regarding chartered flights.
Chartered flight centralization from the DG Shipping office.
Yeah, let me tell you how it is. For outbound flights, if you see, Ministry of Health under National Disaster Management Act, being the chairman, the secretary being the chairman, has delegated the nodal agency as the Ministry of Shipping. So for flights going out from India, it is done by Ministry of Shipping. So if you see our proposals which we are receiving is done maximum in 1 hour or 2 hours.
For flights going out?
Yes, the flight going outs are given immediately. In principle, approvals are given immediately. And for this, MASA, FOSMA, all people are there. You may check with them what is the speed of the response of giving the approvals. Okay, let me come back to the other aspect of inbound flights. Inbound flights cannot be centralized. I'll tell you why. Because there are multiple agencies involved. I'll tell you what is the process. Then the people, viewers listening will come to know what is the problem. The main issue is the charterer approaches us, the shipping company or the charterer approaches us with the details, the flight details and crew manifest. The crew manifest needs to be verified. Of course, we have software for that. We have developed a module. They upload the software in our, crew manifest in our thing. That manifest, in turn, we send it to MEA. MEA, the portal which we have made is exactly same as MEA. So the list which we are sending exactly fits in the portal. In their portal, they fit it and they send it to the local embassy from where the flight is coming. Suppose the flight is coming from Qatar. or US or UK, there the person will get this details in their portal. The crew will reach there. Physically, this will be verified because the manifest needs to be verified. These people are seafarers or whoever, are they Indians or seafarers, they need to be verified by the local embassy. So MEA is involved, local embassy is involved in the country from where they are coming. Somebody might have expired passport, somebody might have expired visas, lot of multiple issues are there, where the embassy will get involved and get that clearances, necessary clearances will be done, and they will allow them to board. Before allowing them to board, the MEA needs to check where the flight is landing. Suppose it is landing in Delhi or Mumbai or Kolkata, that location needs quarantine facilities. You can't bring the flight and hold there and seafarer roaming here and there. The local state government has to agree that so much beds are there, like Mumbai or any place where the cases are such and the beds are and facilities are not there, where the seafarers will be. So the seafarers will be brought, they will be tested, and they will be put for quarantine. So the other agency which is involved is the local state government. So local state government will be asked whether these many people, suppose 200 people are coming. Now every day we are having 4 or 5 flights. If you see, if you calculate 200, it is almost 1,000 people. So 1,000 beds should be there available readily for these people. Earlier it was 14 days because with the Ministry of Health, they have identified this virus is incumbent till 14 days, but now slowly all the tests and all the advanced technology they have identified, and we have been successful in asking and reducing it to 7 days. Now the quarantine is for 7 days. So 7 days and then home quarantine. We are asking for more. We are asking that the people should be allowed directly to the hometown. Many states have agreed, like UP, Rajasthan, Punjab, Chandigarh. Some states are there who have agreed. The flight comes directly, they send there, and they are sending them directly to home quarantine under the Arogya Setu app. But the other states which have many spikes, cases of mass cases of like Maharashtra and other places, they are insisting on the quarantine, which is fair enough because the local state has to control it is not only seafarers, it has to be controlled atmosphere, and entire population need to be controlled. This is a pandemic which is of unprecedented times. So I have told you 3-4 multiple agencies are there. So the local collector is involved, then the permission is granted, then this all circle is completed. Then they approach to DGCA. MEA does. This is all, nobody does anything physically or verbally. It is all by mail. It is all, portal is there. We send it to MEA. MEA sends it to local embassy. Local embassy checks with the state. State, when it is okay, he sends it to DGCA. Then DGCA gives landing permit. Then the charterer has to take the permission from the local authorities also. Landing, boarding. The other country is also involved. Then the charterer will approach there. That is all. Everything is online. So these many agencies are involved. Centrally, it is controlled by our nodal office by DG Shipping.
We never knew all this.
Yeah, we are controlling and doing. You won't believe, even earlier it used to take 7 days because the state was in such bad conditions. The local government used to tell we need at least 7 days. Slowly it became 4 days. Slowly it became 3 days. Now even approvals are granted. Entire this full thing is granted within 12 hours. We have many cases where states have given blanket permission, like Delhi, which has given blanket permissions. So we have given even permission in 1 day. Earlier it was 7 days, where so many agencies are involved. So it is centralized only, but these many multiple agencies are involved. That's why the delay. I hope I have.
Yeah. I think it was good to know all the procedure, because on the face of it, it appears the delay is there, but the questioner who has asked it, he's from a shipping company itself. So now with your detailed explanation, we and also the seafarers and the families are also aware. And thank you for your detail that what many things bringing in the incoming seafarer. As far as outgoing, as you
Weekly,
mentioned,
we had 1 or 2 flights. Now every day we are having 5 flights.
every day.
4 flights, 5 flights. You can see our website.
Yeah.
So many flights are flying now, and it's
really
opening up. It's opening up slowly.
And the question
Doha
about
has
the
been-
visa.
Doha, yeah, I'll come to that. Doha
Yes.
has been a hub port. Doha has been a hub port, and slowly Singapore is opening up. Colombo has little bit opened up. Hong Kong is opened up. So slowly ports are opening up, and they are realizing the seafarers being essential workers, they are facilitating. But our government is working on, if you see recently 2 days back, our Ministry of Civil Aviation has told that there will be air bubble pacts. The Ministry of Civil Aviation and Ministry of External Affairs is working very closely with many countries like UK, Australia, many European countries, US, and like Germany, France, US, and the pact which is going to be signed is in very advanced stage. So we might receive anytime any news that it is opened up and international flight will open up. Then our seafarers flight also will be easy to operate between these countries.
And
Government is working on. And regarding your visa thing,
yeah, the questionnaire specifically asked the visa.
Yes.
Why is the government? What is the government
our
doing
Ministry
about
of
visa?
External Affairs is very aggressively taking, like I said, this is on the pact. Once the pact, air bubble pact is signed, even the expired, some kind of landing permissions will be issued. So it is in advanced stages.
The visa waivers, visa
Yes.
waivers were
So it is very difficult, if it is expired, the other country has to agree. So with the Ministry of External Affairs, they are discussing on this, and very soon pacts, emergency and pacts will be signed so that air bubble pact can be executed.
Thank you. You stay available, Captain Daniel Joseph. There is one question which is coming for Mr. Stephen Cotton, and that question is that the ITF has been successful in raising the issue about seafarers crew change along with its affiliates. Enough is enough. The ILO, IMO has also given strong support. Seafarers have been declared essential workers. So why is it not reached the expected level with the governments worldwide? After so many, the seafarers internationally have been declared as essential workers. So worldwide, why the government? Because this is a query from a seafarer. He's very frustrated. Seems he's still not come on ashore. He's not been repatriated. Why why is it not reached to the expected level with the governments worldwide? This is the question to Mr. Stephen Cotton.
So thanks to the seafarer, thanks to you, Abdul Ghani. So I think the first question is, unfortunately, I've learned more about governments over the last 16 weeks, and it's not so easy to move governments quickly. And I think we have to recognize, even with the best will in the world, there's multiple agencies formulating COVID-19 policy and policy reaction. And what we have managed to do in collaboration with the ship owners and many governments is, albeit I would say too slowly, but we've responded responsibly and effectively, because at one level we have to stop the spread of COVID, we have to beat the pandemic, and on the other level we have to look after individual seafarers and their families' well-being. So it's taken a lot longer. The other bit, and this is a bit that kind of was unimaginable when we shut our office in late March, how dependent we are in our industry on civil aviation. And most civil aviation, there are still a few airlines, and many governments have had to come back in to support airlines to sustain themselves through this very, very difficult time. Then, I mean, one of our colleagues mentioned quite beautifully that the ships have continued to move. Well, the planes haven't continued to move. And that is a problem that, as much as I'd love to hold governments accountable for it, you can't. Many of those airlines are independent operating, and many planes have been on the ground. So I think what we're doing now is we're talking to the airlines. So I kind of want to not patronize the seafarer, but reassure the seafarer that this is a multi-layered problem. The governments are showing goodwill, and India has shown leadership. And, you know, I want to commend the government and the team here in FOSMA and MASA, together with my friends Abdul Ghani and Captain Kumar, that they've got those chartered flights in the air. That's not easy to do either, right? Each individual plane has to have a pilot that's certified, has to fly regularly. You know, the aviation's even more regulated than our industry. So there's lots of rules that governments cannot circumvent. But I think the point is, you know, we're now, can I say, we're bashing the European Union about visas on arrival or waivers to the visas. This is not now about security or other issues that were higher up pre-COVID. This is about the well-being of the seafarers, the ships they operate. I haven't dwelled on the risk to ships, but we're all acutely aware that tired seafarers make mistakes, and mistakes on ships can have catastrophic outcomes. So we need to be very wary about that. But we need the planes to fly, because we can't get you off the ship until we can get your replacement on the ship. And this is a give and take process that I can tell you day and night, the ITF team and many of the employers that are represented here today are fighting with administrators to give us the flexibility. You know, some places we have to move a seafarer, and if you don't capture it in a 24-hour window, you've missed the opportunity. And these are really logistically challenging. I feel like I'm making excuses. I don't want to make excuses, because I think we all feel your pain, and we feel your family's pain. You know, I've got issues here about seafarers whose children have been born. They've got family members who are highly at risk to the pandemic. So we understand this is a really gut-wrenching moment and full of anxiety, but our objective in the ITF, together with our partners, because we believe that's the best way to get governments to listen, is keep stressing how important the seafarers are. Tell everyone your economies will not recover unless the ships are moving, and then give us the respect to make big decisions about planes and visas, and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton. Definitely the way you put it, and I'm sure all our seafarers worldwide are assured that they are not forsaken, they are not forgotten, but there are dynamics which leads to be looked into. There is a question for a seafarer who is assured.
Sir, can I add something?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Ghani sir, can I add something?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah,
you have to show, as Steve mentioned, India has already shown leadership.
Yes. I just want to show something else also too for our beloved seafarers, because there has been enough talk about essential workers. So I want to show something and tell them something good. You can see this.
Yes.
Yes, there is an act by Government of India, central government, the Essential Services Maintenance Act 1968. If you see, I have highlighted this. Essential service means any railway service or any other transport service for carriage of passengers or goods by land, water or air, respect to which Parliament has power to make laws. So that means our seafarers are essential workers. And with this point only, we were able to lobby everywhere and get waivers and make the ball moving. So our seafarers are essential workers in India, and salute to them.
Thank you so much. You know, when this issue of essential workers came, even in the industry, we were not aware that we have already been designated as essential workers in 1968. So there was no need of redesignation. Captain Prashant Ragnikar, there is one direct question to you. This is a seafarer who is awaiting to join the ship, and he says that The DG Shipping, through its procedures, has extended STCW courses, but the companies are still insisting on redoing the courses. And this is unfair, uncalled for. Why should the seafarers suffer if the DG Shipping has extended the courses?
So it is right that the DG Shipping has issued circular extending the COC, the COP, and various other certificates until 31st of December 2021. And Captain Daniel restated that in his address. So it is really surprising. I don't think it is necessary. And if any company has a doubt, they can always check with the flags where the seafarer is joining and send this circular from the DG. And if the flag has an issue, this can be sorted out. So, I mean, we have been connecting so many seafarers on our ships and we never had any issue on this. So the concerned seafarer has to do is check with the company and ask them to approach the flag and get it sorted out. I don't think there should be an issue.
Or they should get in touch with us and we will facilitate the joining of that particular seafarer. If the extension has been done by the Maritime Authority, then there should not be any hurdles.
Delhi Sahab, I would like to add one more point of caution here.
Yes, sir.
The same point, Maritime Administration has gone beyond STCW provisions and extended the certificates and COCs and COPs. But it is up to the other respective flag to accept it. Of late, we have had some issues with Panama where we had to issue clarifications, and they have accepted in few cases and few cases they have not accepted. So it is up to the other flag Maritime Administration to accept it. So this case might be with one of that case.
Okay.
So, but then he can approach the company can approach directorate, we can issue clarification.
Okay, it's work in progress. I think we can take only 2-3 more questions. There is one question on cruise ship. Now this is and I think Mr. Prasad should answer this, should be kind enough to answer this, because on cargo ships there is sign off and also sign on. But on cruise ship presently there is only sign off. What is your advice to cruise seafarers? There is a lot of anxiety and frustration among cruise seafarers about their future, particularly on the cruise. So what is your advice? Because they don't see any sign on in the near future, which is unlike on the cargo ship. So what is your advice to seafarers on the cruise ships, please?
Kanisha, it is true that there have been a lot of sign-offs and very few and far between sign-ons. Sign-ons are only for the essential crew that we need for maintaining the ships. All the world's cruise ships are now currently laid up, and the number of crew that are on board the ships are only to keep the systems going. So it is true that there is a lot of anxiety, and I completely understand whoever has asked this question. Companies around the world are very keen to start doing business, but there are a lot of constraints currently. As you know, cruise ships are part of the leisure industry, and cruise ships are there to take people from one country to the other and have a sort of a fun time while you are on board the ships. In the current circumstances, there are lots of restrictions placed by countries. Countries have closed their borders. So it is going to take some time for cruise ships to come back to their old glory. But the silver lining is that there are plans for cruise ships to launch as early as August. So I have seen news and
August 2020.
Yes, August 2020.
Okay.
It is as early as August 2020. Some of the ships within the Carnival Corporation as well have plans. Again, these are subject to a lot of other constraints that we have. And these are, in very small numbers. So to answer your question, what is it that our seafarers can do while they are waiting to rejoin a ship? My advice is avoid the skill fade, as I call it. Skill fade happens when you are not actively engaged in your profession, in your trade, and you need to keep yourself completely updated about what's happening. Here is a good time to really brush up on your skills, even knowledge. I mean, you may not be able to practice your skills because you don't have a workplace, but a lot of emphasis on brushing up on the knowledge, acquiring more knowledge. It's a good opportunity while you are restricted in your homes to read, to enroll for courses. I'm sure companies will be launching online courses as well. We are considering it very actively as a company to keep our crew engaged via online training while they are sitting at home and getting ready to for the ships to launch, and so that we can put people back on board. So that is my recommendation, that people really brush up on their skills. This is like people, sharpening their skills while they are waiting to be, go back to work.
But definitely there is a silver lining, as you mentioned, for the cruise industry as early as August, and it will continue to be a positive silver lining. Yeah, positive.
I sincerely hope, because we in the office in Carnival Corporation are also very keen that we get back into business. We welcome our guests and get our crew on board to start doing what they are best at.
Thank you. There is one question from Captain Vivek Bide, and I think Captain Tandon can answer that. You see, the issue is because we have been given details about the sign-ons and the sign-offs. So the sign-off has taken the numbers of the sign-off, those are signed off from the ship is more compared to the sign-on. So is it mean that we have lost on some job opportunities?
Thank you for the question, Vivek. There definitely has been a certain replacement of Indians by other nationalities purely because of the geographic location of the ships. I mean, if the ships have been in North Europe side, where we've been able to replace Indians by Russians or Ukrainians, but I don't think that number is very high. The difference between off-signers and on-signers is primarily because the bulk of the off-signers are the cruise line people who have come back without replacement. That is the biggest chunk of the difference. So I don't think we have lost that many jobs. And we've also been able to put people on board the ships that have come to India, where the people may have been taken off earlier, foreigners may have been taken off earlier. So I think in balance, it will all level out in the end, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. So there is still...
Kanisha, can I just endorse?
Yes, yes.
I'd like to just endorse what Captain Tandon said. We signed off 11,900 people in beginning 20th of May until now. So that's a very large number of people that we have repatriated, and that is just Carnival Corporation. And we still have some more people to come back. So obviously this is going to be a big difference between the number of people who have signed off and people who have not gone back on board.
We understand. So as the way it has been put, when the situation is not very alarming as such, we have lost the jobs to some, but then we will definitely, it's a matter of time. We'll recoup those jobs and also increase upon the job. That is what Indians are there for. Finally, one last question to Captain Tyagi, because he did mention the reluctance of the seafarers to join the vessels. So as a company, means seafarers are definitely, some of them, not all, some of them are reluctant. So as a company, what is the comfort level you the ship owners are giving to those seafarers who are reluctant to join back and make themselves available to work on the ship? What is the comfort level as a company which you are giving?
Okay, Abdul Ghani ji, very, very relevant questions you have raised, and whoever has asked this. See, today.
Actually, this is from the wife of the seafarer, because
Very,
I'm
very
sure,
good question, sir. And I'll answer this, and I'm sure civil and many seafarers will be satisfied with this. Our head office is located in Bombay, Maharashtra, one of the worst affected place because of COVID. What we have done in Shipping Corporation of India, we have started for ratings online selection. We have started. Earlier, we used to do the selection in our head office. Physically, applicant used to come, and he used to stay in Bombay in hostels and all, sometimes maybe weeks, months together. We have already done this practice of online rating selection, where today and every applicant can fill up this application online, and his selection is being done online. He's sitting at home. He is not moving out from home, no additional cost, and above all, there is no exposure to COVID. Further, once seafarer is selected, this I am talking only about the ratings. Once rating is selected, he is not called to Bombay. He will be facilitated to go to the joining port directly. So, and that also there we are asking him to do the COVID test at home, so that by reaching at the joining port, there is no disappointment. Because if he goes there and if he is declared as a positive, a lot of frustrations. So these are the 2-3 measures which we have made sure that our seafarer who is ready to join, he is exposed bare minimum to this COVID risk. This is what we have done for the ratings. Similarly, for officers also, all officers, we are doing all approvals, interview, technical briefing, their testing online, on telephone, email, CBT-based test, and none of them is being called to Maharashtra, Bombay. Again, the directly seafarer is asked to go to the from his home directly to the joining port, and again, bare minimum exposure to the COVID situations. So these are the incentives. So these are the rather preventive measures SCI is adopted, and it is working, touch wood, very well. So far, 0 case of any infection, sir.
Thank you so much, Captain Tyagi. I'm sure, after all, finally it is a seafarer's call whether he or she wants to join back in this COVID situation. They will have to decide, but we have to assure them as a fraternity, as an industry, that these things are checks and balances are in place, and they should take it forward and go on with the vocation which they have chosen. We ourselves have chosen to be seafarers. I think we have come to an end of our webinar, and the response on the Facebook has been very enthusiastic, and the numbers were quite high. So we had declared that we will be having one lucky draw, but instead of one lucky draw, we'll be having 2 lucky draws now, which will be announced in the next Nusi Kaam Ki Baat. And they will be allowed, they will be available. They can go along with their family members to Nusi Resort for 3 nights and 4 days, totally, as and when the situation permits. So
Abdul Sahab, I'll just would like to.
You want to add one more from SCI?
Yes.
Acha, boliye.
We have wonderful DG team.
Yes.
And including dynamic young officers like Captain Daniel. Then Ministry of Shipping, Ministry of External Affairs, Health. All stakeholders are very flexible and very, very cooperative. Even in joining, sign-off process, customs, immigrations, local agents, port authorities, everybody has done wonderful job, very flexible. This is a tremendous job by the entire team. And similarly, the stakeholder, one of the important stakeholder like unions, your party, Amar Singh Saab, and many more. So my humble request is let's be together, and the challenges will increase with this time. And together we can definitely overcome and firefight. We can fight this problem. And now we have already exposure, 3-4 months experience we have with us. We can face any challenge in this industry, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Tyagi. I don't think there has to be any other closing remarks than what Captain Tyagi has just mentioned on a very positive note. The purpose of this webinar, as we mentioned, was to the Indian Seafarers crew change, success or failure, and with the details which has been given to by the panelists, all the panelists, and the challenges which we have, it is for us to decide. We'll not give a like a opinion as of now. It is for individuals to decide whether it was a success, whether it is a success or a failure. Definitely, and I, on behalf of the Maritime Union of India and NOSI, on behalf of Mr. Amar Singh Thakur and myself, let me thank all the panelists, Captain Tyagi, Captain Rajesh Tandon, Captain Dr. Daniel Joseph, and Mr. Prasad Hariharan and Captain Prashant Rangnekar, and Mr. Amar, and both of us are thanking, and special thank to Mr. Stephen Cotton, ITF General Secretary, as I mentioned, who came all the way from London on our webinar. We really appreciate, and the insights and the what he mentioned was very supportive. The ITF, along with his affiliates, is there, along with the stakeholders to give it our best shot in this COVID pandemic situation. So thank you all of us, thank you all of you, and thank also to those who joined us on the Facebook Live, and this will be put on YouTube and Facebook also. So all the best, and I would like to sign off. If anybody wants to say something, or we close it, we close our panel. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Abdul
Thank
Ghani,
Thank you.
Available 24/7 for our seafarers.
Sorry?
Right.
We are available 24/7.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much. Thank you. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.